All right, everyone, you know the show, right? Help Talk with me, Dr. LL, and Phil. And we've got a couple of folks who are kind of recovering for some things here in the audience, but you know what? It is all good. They are here to help and here to support you. And we're going to be talking about ways to connect with your teenager. So we've got Molly Feigal here, who is a certified parenting coach, and she's into oils for wellness and ways in music as a music teacher, ways to be able to connect with your kiddos. And we've got Phil up here. Hopefully he's in the same orientation here that I see on my screen. Yep. And he's got the Helpopedians, and he and I are the co-founders of Helpopedia, where we are focused on youth development. And of course, with youth development, well, they can't develop on their own. They need a little parenting support. So we've got Molly here on this side. So Molly, why don't you give folks a bit of an introduction on the things that I didn't miss about all the stuff you do?
Awesome. Yes, I am a certified parent coach. I coach any adults who work with youth. And specifically, right now, we are in a mental health crisis for our teens, preteens, and young adults. And so I have kind of been focusing on how we adults, specifically parents, but I also work with teachers and camp counselors and things like that, how we can support the preteens, teens, and young adults in our world. So I am really excited to share this little list of 7 tips on connecting with your teenagers because it comes from the teenagers themselves.
That's so key.
This list was created by talking to a bunch of teenagers in an after school program and getting and asking them some things. And here are their responses.
Oh,
So is it okay if I dive in or should I just wait
no,
and
no,
I can
no,
I
no,
can
it is
wait?
not, Molly. No.
I'm
We're
so
going to set up
ready.
a little more context. I know,
Okay.
like people are waiting with bated breath for your 7, especially now that we know that they came from the
It's from
teenagers
yes.
themselves,
Mhm.
which is key. But let's just set up a little bit of context because, like, as people are coming into the chat, it's that, I think, wholly relatable moment where kid comes home, if you're home or whatever it is, you
Mm.
have that first interaction and you ask something. You ask, "Oh, is that, I don't know, is that snot on your shirt?" Anything. And then the kid loses their mind, right?
Absolutely.
To the
Absolutely.
room, slam, and that's it. It's over,
Right.
right?
Right.
Relatable?
Absolutely relatable. Or they walk in and you ask, "How was school today?" And you get some grunts and they walk away from you and they shut down. Like
That's
it
right.
can be explosive, it can be shut off, right?
Exactly.
Yes. And
And
go ahead.
And to your point about the mental health, I don't know
Mhm.
what it is amongst children. So these are the, kids that are not, under the age of 18. I know
Mhm.
by teenagers, and as you started to get into college age kids, 2/3 of kids in this country, United States, have a prescription for anti-anxiety or anti-depression.
Yeah.
It's horrible. And I'm so anxious to hear what you're going to say because if we can start connecting better with kids who are feeling displaced or
Mhm.
anxious or upset in any way and connect with them younger before they get into all that crazy hormonal, stuff at 12 and 13,
Right.
that maybe we could make a really big difference. And so,
Well, we absolutely can. That's the thing that a lot of parents don't know and that I learned through my journey. I taught elementary music for 20 years. I've also worked at a summer camp for teenagers for 30 years.
whew,
And I have my master's of arts in education and I am accredited. So I went through an accreditation program for coaching parents. And the things that all of that has taught me is that there are a couple of ways that we as parents can connect with our children in a way that then I hate to say the word hacks into their brain, but I'm going to use that. It's like, the computer is functioning up here, right? But then you have the instinctual things that are way deep inside that aren't logical, and you can't really just say something. Well, anyway, it's if there are ways to hack into that and help calm things down in our kids, there are things that we can do that support having a positive, all those happy chemicals that we want going through our body?
Endorphins.
Endorphins, oxytocin, things
Oxytocins.
like that. Yep. We don't have a whole lot of that because right now, so many of our kids are stuck in a stress response, and the stress response sends out all the negative chemicals, cortisol and adrenaline and things like that, which in short bursts are good for us. The issue is they're stuck in this cycle of always having them course through their body, and then it becomes maladaptive, which is not good for their brains and their body growth and all sorts of things like that. So my hypothesis, which is just a hypothesis, and I am not a doctor, I'm not a doctor, but my hypothesis is that all of us right now are running in the like constant fight, flight, and freeze stuff, and finding a way to take a breath and calm it down and click out of that is a little tricky. And us parents, there are some things that we can do to hack into the instinctual portion of the kids' brains just by our love and our hearts and some of our words that clicks them off of that roller coaster of being stuck in the stress pattern and brings them back down to regulation, which is better for their growing bodies. So
Excellent.
that's my soapbox.
Yep. So, like Laura Lynn was doing from a setup perspective, you've shared, all the stresses that, our kids are going through, the parents are going through, the level of pressure that parents have, the level of pressure that kids are going through with their peers, with themselves. And then, I don't think our parents were great communicators, which is also a challenge, is because we don't have that history of great open communication. I know when I turned like 12 or 13, I thought I was going through stuff by myself. How can I relate to a 36-year-old dad who may have gone through this?
Who
But
seemed old at the time.
it was ancient. So, yeah. And so I could see the struggles from a male side. Absolutely. Where I didn't want to advertise if I was struggling. I didn't want to advertise anything that was bad. I wanted to be even keel and yes, I've heard how was school today? How was your day today? And then you get 1 word, 2 word answers because you've heard those same questions before. And so these are some of the challenges when you're growing up, and it is not easy for parents because they may have not been educated like Molly has been educated to come up with these incredible strategies.
And Phil, it's not easy for me. And I'm educated about all of this. And I will say to myself, my child will come at me with something. And I will say to myself, okay, oh gosh, I'm having a reaction. I have big feelings about what they're saying or what they're doing. And I have to kind of take a grip and go, okay, Molly, you are a parent coach. You should know what to do. Figure this out. And it's hard for me. So we are not supposed to do this alone. We really need to do this in a community of other people. And I'm going to put a plug in right now. I have online and in person mindful parenting conversation groups that I have been running every month for the past year. And they are free or pay what you can. Go to my website, mollyfeigalparentingsupport.com, or just Google Molly Parenting Support. And in the events section, thanks. Hey, there they are. There's my website. In the events section, you can see online and in person mindful parenting conversation groups where we do this. We sit down and go, hey, what's going on with your kid? What's going on with your kid? What are some successes we had? Okay, here's what Molly thinks. What do you think? And it's just this community of support because we are not meant to do this alone.
It's too hard. I mean, everybody says that, right? Raising a child takes a village. And we've learned just with societal changes that most of us have left, especially rural areas. We've gone to more, larger metropolis types of areas so that we can get our jobs and get our careers going. And as a result of that, we've left that infrastructure behind. We may not have the ability to depend on our parents or grandparents or aunties or any of this other support structure to be able to help us out. So we're on our own. We're on our own treadmills trying to go through, right? And we're in our own hamster wheels trying to do that and think, oh God, I got to pause long enough, help the kid in their hamster wheel. and we don't have that support anymore. So it's
Right.
gotten harder. So I can see how the value of these community support groups that you host.
Yeah.
People need it. Who else can they
Yeah.
go to?
Yeah, exactly. And it's been really transformative for the people who are there. Like I've got some great quotes, but that I don't have pulled up right now. Not ready to talk about them.
It's okay.
But people are really like, wow, this is exactly what I needed. So yeah.
Well, let's get into the 7 tips. We've been waiting with
Okay.
bated breath here to hear what's
All right.
going on. You've got all of this. So what are teens and tweens telling parents that they need to do better to connect with them, with the kiddos?
The first one is don't fix their problems.
Interesting.
When your teens talk about their problems, listen to them. Validate their feelings in that very moment. Ask questions like, how would it work if, instead of jumping in to fix things, just focus on being a supportive listener. They, hold on, my computer is not scrolling. Okay. You can ask the question, do you want me to help problem solve or do you want me to just listen? But most of the time, we as parents want to jump in and fix it for them because we want to take away their pain points. We want to make it better for them. That's our job as parents. But especially with teens and tweens and young adults, just tune in. Just soften your eyes. Try to not pay attention to the, oh God, what's going on in you. Tune in, lean in, and psych yourself up to listen to the details of whatever it is. Yeah, so that's my first one is don't fix their problems for them.
That's so hard as a problem solver. That's where I always go to, even with my friends and stuff. They're like, Laura, for God's sakes, just hear me. I'm like,
Yes,
I know,
yes.
but I already heard you. Like, I've already got it. I've already got like the solution mapped out. Like, no. Like,
No,
let me
no.
help you. Right?
No, instead, when they tell you one of their problems, just soften up your eyes. That's a big one. Soften up and just say, wow, that sounds really hard. I understand that. It does this thing where it clicks in to the instinctual portion of their brain, that survival portion way back there, and it makes them go, oh, I'm not alone. Someone else has heard me. And sometimes that's all their brain needs for them to calm down and this part of their brain to wake up and start solving their own problems. So that's one. Can I move on to number 2?
Yes. You
Okay.
are in control of this show. I will
Okay,
just
I'm in control now. Great.
get in as the
Great.
tips come in. What's tip
I
number
love it.
2?
Okay, number 2. Oh, hey, I love I love the things you're putting at the bottom. I just noticed them. Number 2, don't overly focus on the future for them. This has 2 parts. One is, oh, your future is bright. You've got so much going for you. You know, next year's going to be great. Teens often feel overwhelmed by thoughts of the future. The world has shown them that the world has taught them to be cynical about lots of things that I'm not going to list here. But it's a lot of things that were far from my mind when I was their age. And when we try to focus them on how great the future might be, or hey, life is going to be okay, it doesn't help them because of some of the things they've been through in the past 2 years. And they're like, you don't know that. No, it's not. So that's one. Don't focus too much on like everything's going to be great. Also, don't focus too much on the future fear. As parents, we often live in the land of worry. We freak out when we see a behavior that we then imagine will turn into a habit, which will then send them down a path of whatever. When we start freaking out about the future, stop. Stay in the now with them. Look down at your feet. Be where your feet are. Staying in the now is more powerful than either trying to convince them that the future is going to be better or freaking yourself out. Ways that you can stay in the now with them is notice things about them right then, or notice things that you've seen recently. You know, you look so happy when ... Right now in this moment, am I seeing that you're feeling You're really doubling down on tuning in and being in the now with them. So that was number 2.
Can I ask?
Yeah.
So when you're saying like being there and being in the now with them, can you ask about feelings, or do they just throw their hands up and go like, don't ask me about my feelings?
Yes, there are ways to ask them about their feelings.
Do tell.
I'm trying to okay, so, well, this actually comes to point number 3 that I have is
Okay, let's good segue.
point number
I
3.
didn't even know. Yeah, okay.
You did. You may laugh, but my point number 3 is don't talk to them. I don't mean don't talk to them. I mean avoid sit down eye to eye serious talks, especially on uncomfortable topics. Teens often prefer alternative methods of communication. Even if you're trying to talk about like good things, have you ever tried to compliment some teenagers and it backfires? So try taking a walk with them and having conversations while you're walking. Driving at night so they don't have to look at your face, or writing them a note. When you are talking about feelings or things like that with them, mention the topic with almost like you're reporting it, like a reporter. It's your own emotion is going to be, you're going to kind of detach. You're going to try to not be as connected. I've noticed that you don't seem like yourself when you come home from school. And then be quiet. See what they say. Or I've noticed that you seem to be talking to so-and-so a lot these days. And then be quiet. It's little ways to notice things. Now, when you want to talk to them about their feelings, are you talking about if they're in the middle of a blow up?
No,
Or-
because then it's pretty clear. But just in general, like if you're saying, "Oh, how does you came home from school? You seemed upset. How does that make you feel?" I'm like, "You're not my psychiatrist. Go away."
Right. Instead, you could say, when you came home from school, it looked like your body was telling me you were really upset. Did I get that right? And then if they're like, yeah, I'd love to help you with it, but sometimes you don't want my help. Can I guess how you were feeling and you'll tell me if I'm right or wrong? Or do you want to just be left alone for a while about it? Like these choices. Choices are important. These are, Laura Lynn, these are all during my group conversations, and I also do like family coaching. So it's like the parents and me on a Zoom, just like this. That's where we really lean into crafting something that works for you as a parent and them as your child. Because I could say 5 tips during this conversation, and only one of them would work for Laura Lynn and Laura Lynn's kid. And maybe a different one would work for Laura Lynn with a different kid. Like, because everyone is so unique, that's where spending time with me privately and doing sort of crafting of how you're going to say these things to your child. And you tried it these past 2 weeks. How did it go? That's where things like that, we can get a little more detailed.
Okay. Awesome.
But I'm going to go to my 4th point on connecting with your kids. Do enter their world. What does that mean and how do you do it? Find ways to enter their world. Call it mindful parenting or conscious parenting or present moment parenting, but tune in, be open to their interests and activities, even if they seem foreign to you. Take some time to show genuine curiosity about what they're passionate about. Here are some ideas. You seem so happy when you're laughing with your friends. That's an easy one. Can we all agree we could say that to our kids like today?
Sure. What do you guys laugh about? What's so funny all the time?
Right. Or you might not even have to ask that, Laura Lynn. Just say, you seem so happy when you're laughing with your friends. Because that just means, yeah, I was happy, but we're not pushing for information. Now, you could ask more if your kid is open to it. I am working with a lot of families right now where the children are very reactive to that. Like, no, don't talk to me about that. But if you watching this, you know that you have a kid who would be fine with that. Be like, you guys were laughing a lot yesterday. What were some of the things that made you laugh? Sure. Here's another quote that I've used with my own children. How does that work when you're trying to kill that monster in that video game? Or something like, how many episodes of this anime are there? Anybody else watching right now have children who watch a lot of anime? Do I love anime? No. Do I ask my children questions about it anyway? Yes. When my kid says, hey, do you want to sit down and watch some anime? I say, of course I do. So you have to find how your children will let you enter their world, but be open to it and kind of, they want you to. This is something from the teenagers saying, please enter our world. Remember these tips are from kids. Here's another one.
Hold on, before
sorry.
we go there.
Phil, I want to make sure we don't go too far past our time. I can't remember how much time we have.
Oh, we're good. We're good. But Phil, go ahead.
Go ahead,
Sure.
Phil.
So the easiest way to enter their world is when they're engaged in an extracurricular activity and you can see that you're supporting them in every which way. I mean, that is just it's a great combination, and especially if you're entertained and interested in the work they're doing, whether it's music or theater or sports. There's a level of parent engagement in that activity where you can, there's a bonding there. And it's a big supportive role can be there. But the challenge is if that extracurricular activity is not there, right? If there's nothing to support and or enter their world and they're missing that passion and interest, that's when hopefully the parent is going through this discovery phase with their kids to say, oh, let's explore, let's try different things, because that is invaluable. To not be frustrated, to look at it as explore Marco Polo. Let's explore the world of hobbies.
Right. And if your child is not in a spot where they're willing to reach out and do things like outside of the house, there are a lot of, this has started to go down, but 2 years ago when parents were coming to me, right as we were opening up after COVID, there were a lot of preteens and teenagers who were feeling like socially they didn't want to go out into the world. And the parents were really anxious about that. What if my child never ... They got stuck in that future fear. That kids are like, please don't get stuck in that future fear. That was point 2, I think. What I did is I had some conversations with those parents to be like, can you see where they might be coming from? And talking about feelings, circling back, Laura Lynn, you had asked, how do we talk about feelings? When you do have young ones who are starting to be comfortable talking with you about their feelings, saying things like, all right, so you're telling me that you're feeling angry right now. Where do you feel that in your own body? When I feel anger in my own body, I feel it right here. Do you feel it the same place? Okay, so we can kind of watch that. Just notice that sometimes.
Right.
Starting to guide them through noticing things. Anxiety is a big one. Oh, you're feeling anxious. Where do you feel that in your body? And helping guide our young ones through being mindful and recognizing the symptoms of feelings in our own body so that they can go, oh, I'm not actually going to throw up. I'm just really anxious or really excited about whatever's coming next. My eldest child went through a year or two where he thought he was going to throw up often, stomach aches, things like that. And this is not uncommon. And what we discovered is it was anxiety and it was excitement. So even when he was excited about something in a good way, his stomach would turn on him and he thought he was going to throw up, which then terrified him, which made him scared, which then, the cycle continued. But being able to walk through it and go, oh, where do I feel this? Oh, that's why. So point number 5 from the kids. Please do tell our teenagers that you trust them. Do tell them you trust them. Express trust, whether it is little small moments or big. When they hear that we trust them, they will start to trust themselves. And isn't that what we want? We want to send out into the world young adults who trust their instincts. So say things like, I trust you to tell me if you need a reminder to do the dishes or if you can do it on your own. Do you see how nuanced that sentence is right there? It wasn't just, I trust you to do the dishes, because that's almost a challenge. That could fail. But I trust you to tell me if you need a reminder to do the dishes or if you can do it on your own. I trust you to think about how I can support you and let me know because I love you so much. I trust you to tell me the best way I can love you when you feel like this. So those were all kind of the, like, there was a little one there, like dishes, and then there were some bigger ones there. So yeah, I have some very specific ideas of crafting how we tell the children that we trust them. Oh, here's one more I've written down. I trust you to be careful when playing games online and to be aware when people are trying to get information from you. I've had to say that to my youngest, who does a lot of online games, and I've tried very hard to, a slippery slope during COVID. We all ended up on lots of online things, and I can say I feel scared and anxious knowing that you're playing these games with strangers. And I know I've taught you everything I can. So I trust you to be careful. But every once in a while, I'm still going to look at your device.
That's right.
I mean, that's what happens in our household. It's like, I still look at it.
We did that. We did. We called them random, like, phone audits. That's it.
Yeah.
It's your phone. Yeah. Oh, what do you mean you changed the password? No. What's the new password? Right. Yeah. Okay. This is what it's going to be. Yeah. Social media audit. Boom, boom, boom. Look at the stuff. Who are your friends? What are you doing? What are you watching? What are your things? And then it's like, okay, great. Phone back.
Yep, and that is a discussion that I can help families go through with whatever the personality of their teenagers are. It's not easy, and it terrifies us as parents to be like, we're gonna use these rules now that maybe we haven't implemented before, but it is about safety. And what is my job? Since before you were born, I've been working to keep you safe. That's my job. So we're gonna do it this way. All right. Point number 6, do ask them for help. People need to feel needed. So ask your teenagers for their input and assistance in solving problems. Sometimes it can be a personal issue for yourself, like at work. For example, wait, where was that? This happened today in my life and it made me feel sad. Do you have any advice? It could be help with stuff around the house. That's one I get a lot, is I am struggling with X, Y, and Z while I am busy with work this week.
The size of the dust bunnies are growing. Do you have suggestions?
Right. Can you think of ways to help the household? Should we discuss this now or in 30 minutes? Giving those, like, is it hard? Yes. Am I really, really good at getting my kids to help out around the house? No. But that problem is my personality and the personality of my kids. And perhaps the personalities in your household are different, but we all have our struggles as parents, right? That's one of mine. So the last one, I'm going to go to the last one and then you guys can fill in with any questions. The last one is don't hide your own feelings. Keep in mind that all of these points come from high schoolers as they were trying to find ways to tell their parents what they want out of their parents. Don't hide your own feelings. Working through struggle in a healthy manner. So I don't want you to, I'm not saying full-on parental hissy fits. I'm not saying show them your big tantrums. Like, if you need to tantrum, find someone else to tantrum to, right? But if you do happen to tantrum in front of your kids, or if you do happen to throw a fit in front of your kids, it's okay as long as you go back and are like, hey, this is what happened. If you can be mindful about it and kind of go, this is what happened. Can you forgive me for that? Whatever. So let me go back to my written script because this is well written. Working through struggle in a healthy manner is so important to model for teens and preteens. Modeling healthy emotional expression and then problem solving. When you parents are experiencing difficulties, show them how you work through it. Teens learn more from your actions than your words.
Yeah.
They learn by what we do, not by what we say. So am I saying share every single thing with them? No, but pick and choose things that you're like, okay, they're going to see this and we're going to talk about it. Or you don't have a choice and they've seen your big emotions and you can work through them together. You know, there are families who are walking through incredible loss right now that I'm working with. And there's actually research, Laura Lynn and Phil, there's actually research that I don't have at my fingertips on how working through a struggle as a family has a more positive, has a like exponentially more positive impact like 10, 20 years down the line because you've gone through it together and you were there for each other. And then 10 or 20 years down the line, the people who've done that with their family in a healthy, regular way, they are more like emotionally and mentally kind of like more emotionally stable versus people who've never had to go through any of the struggles together, or they just, their parents never cued them in on it. And they just, life is great, no problem. Life is wonderful. But they never learned that we are here for each other thing. And so when your family is going through something big, or you are, or your kids are, it's okay to share those feelings in a healthy way. So those are my 7 big tips.
But it is a lot. And on that whole thing, in a healthy and structured way, right? We'll flip to what is not healthy and structured. So a lot of folks I know, myself, others, were at that age where our parents are ailing. In many cases, our parents have passed away, and these are the grandparents of our kids. And how are we managing it? Are we turning to a glass of wine or 5 on a Monday night to deal with it? Are we talking about it and saying it's really hard? I'm not ready to lose. You know, I like grandma too, and it's really, it's going to be hard, but we're here together, right? To get through it. And I think that that's so important because there is a lot of stuff that's out there. So this I thought has been fantastic. Do you want to run through the 7 again, just to give people the summary, and I'll flash them as we go?
Here we go. All right. Number 1, don't fix their problems. Just tune in and listen. Just tune in and be with them. Number 2, don't overly focus on the future. Yeah, don't obsess about the future. That's either your future is so bright, nor your own personal future fear of, oh my God, what's going to happen with my children? That's a hard one. I live in the land of freaking out about my future, or my kids' future. I'm working on it. Number 3, don't talk to them. Avoid serious talks where you're like eye to eye. Find other ways to walk with them, or go for a ride, or in a car. It's amazing the conversations we've had at night driving in the car when no one can see each other. Number 4, do enter their world. Find ways. Ask them if you need to. Number 5, do tell them you trust them. Number 6, do ask them for help. And number 7, don't hide your own feelings. Now, I do have all of this on a PDF on my website. If you want to throw my website back up there, somewhere on the website it says download free PDF or something. And you can download those with a little description of each one. If those of you watching want to have one that you can hold. I have had a family that prints it out and has like put it somewhere in their house.
On the fridge.
Yes.
Do people still put stuff on their fridge? I look at our fridge and I'm like, oh, it's not the front anymore, it's the side, but there really is no real estate on the side of the fridge. And it's
right.
There's a lot of stuff there.
Yeah. So I have one closing statement that I'll say just to Just remember, parents, connecting with your teens is an ongoing journey. By respecting their preferences, being a good listener, and fostering trust, you can strengthen your relationship and help them navigate the immense challenges of adolescence and young adulthood. Drop the mic. Done.
Booyah! Done.
Outstanding.
7 tips, right?
Yeah.
There we go. So thank you, Molly. You can find her website right here. It's on the link. You can join her monthly parenting support groups. You can engage in her services. She's done retreats, all kinds of good stuff to help parents and their kiddos out. So have a look. And Molly's also a very active member of Helpopedia, which is, there's Phil, if you can, point to the logo up there. There it is, right? Helpopedia, where we are a group of change makers all focused on making a difference in youth.
And if any of you watching right now are part of a nonprofit, we have some specials for nonprofits being part of our Helpopedia hub where people can find help. So if you're interested, put a comment or something, because this is a great organization dedicated to helping people.
Thank you, Molly. Thank you, Phil. Glad you're both here. I know, Molly, you're suffering through like the back to school annual cold, and Phil, you've got all kinds of things, but it is so good to see you both here. And thank you for that. Until next week, we'll see you back here again at 3 p.m. ET every Monday for Help Talk.